So the Biotechnical Institute in Maryland works in Baltimore. It works with low-income residents of Baltimore and helps them connect to jobs as lab associates in the biotech industry, which is kind of a nascent industry in the Baltimore area. It does this basically by running a 3-month training that trains people in sterile lab procedures, things like that, but also creates connections for them to employers that they wouldn't have connections with otherwise. They started with sort of one champion employer at Johns Hopkins University, but over time they were able to create relationships with more employers and convince employers that you don't need to hire somebody who has a bachelor's degree in science. You can hire somebody who has a high school degree and some training to do these kinds of jobs. So it's sort of this positioning that allowed them both the entree into the employer and the perspective to say, you know what's going to work for you, where you're having trouble with the bachelor's degree candidates you put in these positions tend to leave after a year. And what's going to work for these workers is for us to train them and prepare them for these jobs. They'll stay longer. They'll be able to do the jobs. And in that way, it's sort of subtle, but start to create some change in how employers think about hiring and what workers think about as their opportunities in that labor market. In 2000, they started that in 1998, and then in 2001, they enhanced their program by developing professional development programs for employees of biotech companies. This allowed them to deepen their relationships with the employers and further serve the industry, supporting their success, but also create opportunities for workers to move up within the companies in which they're employed. And they offered things in cell culture, protein expression, whatever that might mean, and these kinds of things that help people actually advance, and it enhanced their credibility with the industry and enhanced their ability to serve the workers that they're trying to work with. So I just offer that as one example just to kind of illustrate sort of this positioning between workers and employers, and that being as a critical component in their success. These programs, and you'll hear from different ones, look different in different regions. In other areas, this one started with sort of a freestanding nonprofit. Other areas, community colleges play active roles, labor management partnerships play active roles, workforce investment boards play active roles. They really take a variety of different shapes and forms depending on sort of where you are, what the industry is, what the local institutions are. And there's a whole array of ways that they can kind of play out at local levels. But a key thing is that they kind of remain somewhat flexible and adaptable to the industry in which they're working. They're not sort of static. So in that Baltimore Tech example, they change over time. They add programs over time as the industry changes, as it grows and shifts and needs new things. But as they're also serving the industry, I think it's important to point out that it's an industry focus. It's not an individual firm focus. So while they're investing their dollars in entry-level training, you know, if they actually just handed those dollars over to a particular firm, that might not be the highest value that the firm would see in terms of an immediate payoff. But they're looking broadly at the industry and at their economy and how people who live in their area can connect in the industry. And I just wanted to bring that point out because I think it's a different perspective, this industry-wide perspective, than a firm perspective. And the final point I want to make, and I'm not going to make it in great data-driven detail as I've done in the past. There's a lot of data in the publications about outcomes we've seen from these programs. But I do want to say that they really do have the capacity to really help people connect to the labor market in different ways, really make a difference in their lives and in their families' lives. I've seen sector programs that have worked with a wide range of different types of people who are different in terms of age, gender, ethnicity, work histories, family situations, and the associated responsibilities that come with those different situations. English language abilities, basic literacy, numeracy skills. You can think of the range of issues that people might encounter in connecting to the labor market. I've seen a variety of different sector programs that work in different industries and different areas, work with all kinds of people and helping them find ways to advance in today's economy. And I think that these programs are really, in many ways, an inspiration to think about what it means to be a student in today's economy, what it means to be a learner, and how pathways towards advancement can occur. We hear a lot about sort of new technology and how firms are changing, the needs for skills are changing in manufacturing. It's not the same today as it was yesterday. People need to understand computers. And that happens in a wide variety of industries where you hear about the need for different kinds of skills. And when we consider that roughly half the people who will be in the labor market 20 years from now are already in the labor market, then you really need to think of different ways of getting people skills that will help them succeed in the economy. We can't just think about students in schools as we think about how to develop a workforce that's really going to support a strong and vibrant regional economy, and that's really going to support the industries that we want to be our economic future. So I think that sector initiatives really offer a lot of promise in thinking about how to build the workforce that we need in today's economy and how to help people who need opportunities to connect to really good jobs to have that opportunity and to be able to support themselves and their families.